Okay, 3, 2, 1.
So, welcome to our new series, our brand new series called the Viva Connection. We've created this series for our launch week, the Viva event 2019, which we're really looking forward to. And what we wanted to do is introduce you to our speakers that will be with us in Viva this year on our 5th birthday. I must mention that it's our 5th year. And also what we wanted to do, Sue and I got together and we really realised that we wanted to offer something of value to people. So we're just going to record a few sessions with our few speakers, sort of maximum 15 minutes, and this is one of those. And we've got the lovely Natasha Swerdloff with us. And it's about really giving you something. What we decided, I've just remembered, sorry, I forgot, was what we realised was there were many very, very common questions out there that people have when they come across the understanding of the 3 principles. And we thought a good way to go would be to ask each of our speakers one of these questions. So I'm going to hand it over to Sue, who's going to do a little intro for Natasha, and then she can ask a question.
Okay, thanks. Hi, Natasha.
Hi.
So, in way of introduction, we know you. You're a speaker, you're a consultant and a trainer, and you travel the world extensively. You explained that when you're in Denmark, you're mainly consulting in the business field, but when you're abroad, you're speaking or partnering with some of the best-known practitioners in the field of the 3 principles and having wonderful times. I mean, we're not at all envious. That's absolutely fine. You carry on. So thank you so much for giving us some of your time. And it's this question, which I think has been universally asked and frequently asked, just seemed perfect for you because it feels like this is where you're at, if you like. And the question we'd love to pose to you this time is, how do we discern wisdom?
First of all, can I just say thank you so much for inviting me to Viva. I've been looking on Facebook for years, seeing all the wonderful pictures, and I've just been wanting to be part of that party. So,
you're very welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for inviting me for this. So, I get that question all the time. How do we know when wisdom is speaking, and how do I know when it's ego? And one of the ways that I'd answer it is to talk about knowing. How do we know things? So usually I would start saying, well, how do you know that you love somebody, for instance? Is it because you've discerned it? Have you made a list? I love him because, all these 14 different things. No, it's something different. There's a knowing. Like, how do we know anything? How do we know when it's time to leave a job? How do we know it's time to move away from where we live? Or there's many times in our lives when we're in touch with this knowing. And the knowing that I'm speaking about is the knowing that's beyond the intellect. It's something that we can't explain with our intellect. We just know. So every time we're in contact with this, well, how do you know? Well, I just do. It feels right. And that's one thing that Sid Banks used to point to again and again was, it's about a feeling. Listen for a feeling. That's what he would say. So knowing comes with a feeling of just knowing. That's one of the qualities. It's just, well, I just know. So there's in the knowing, there's a certainty. I know this. I know that I love my husband. I don't have to make a list about it. I know that when to say yes to things, when to say no to things. I just know. So one of the qualities is a knowing and a certainty. Another quality is that it comes in one. The knowing doesn't go, well, I know that this could be pretty fabulous and this could be pretty fabulous too. It doesn't do that. It never comes up in twos. That's ego. Because in knowing, there's no duality. Knowing is oneness. ego always creates duality. Well, on the one hand, you could do this, and that would be fabulous because of this. And on the other hand, you could do this, and that would be fabulous or not so fabulous because of that. So as soon as there's duality, it's not wisdom. Formlessness has no form. Therefore, there can be no form existing in it. Everything that is in form has been created from the formless, which is the one principle that out of nothing, everything arises. So as soon as there is a discussion, well, I could move to America, but then I would miss my family at home. That kind of discussion is always, always ego. If at one point I felt like, oh, gosh, I guess I'm moving to America. If that came up in that way and like, well, I would miss my family. Yeah, but I know that this is right. So there's the knowing feeling, and everybody knows this. This is the incredible thing. I can talk to anybody. Everybody knows the feeling of knowing. And I just have to ask them 2 or 3 questions and then, oh yeah, oh that one. Yeah, I know that one. So when we're in any kind of situation where we have to find a solution to something, if we're thinking about it, and thinking is great. I mean, there's nothing wrong in thinking, but thinking comes in second. Let's say that I wanted to move to another country, and I just knew, oh, I need to move to Britain. That's where my family lives, most of my family at least. They live there. It feels right. Then I would need my intellect to find out, okay, how do I pack up my house and sell it and find a new house and all these things. Intellect is wonderful to be very practical. I couldn't do it without my intellect. But the wisdom is the movement. It's what kind of moves me into action. And then once I've had the movement and I know this is right for me, then I use my intellect to plan all the details. So intellect is wonderful for that. So the qualities of wisdom is it's just fullness, it's knowing, it's beyond the intellect, and it always comes up in one. And just before we started recording, you were asking me about how I came across Dicken and how we ended up writing this book together. And that was a very good example of wisdom. We met at a conference in London in 2014. And he actually came up to me before I was standing looking at him with a friend. She was pointing him out, saying, that's Dicken Bettinger, a Danish friend. And I said, oh, it's Lise Dendanel, by the way, who you know. She pointed him out to me, and I said, oh yeah. She said, you know him? I said, no, not really. I'm going to a seminar with him in 2 weeks because somebody invited me, but don't actually know him. And then he sees me from across the room and he walks up to me and he kind of leans in and he looks at me and he says, it's really wonderful to meet you. And I'm like, what? He doesn't know me. He must think I'm somebody else. But I asked him about it before and he said it just felt like we knew each other and he wanted to come up. So that was kind of the first meeting. And then he went up on stage and he just blew me away with a wonderful talk. And then I went to a seminar with him a couple of weeks later. He became my mentor. And half into the mentorship, which was 8 sessions, after 4 sessions, there had been all these emails between us talking about what we'd been discussing, which was pretty much consciousness. We had 8 sessions. 8 sessions were about consciousness, which was all I wanted to speak about at the time. And then after 4 times, I thought, gosh, there's all these emails. Now ego comes in because wisdom in me was moving me towards a book. It kept coming up. You should ask him to write a book. I'm like, no, I can't possibly do that. And then there's knowing like, well, you just do it. Like, no. He's been in this for 30 years. I've been in this for 2 years. He's going to laugh at me, blah, 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 all these things. It kept coming and it kept coming. And so finally, I surrendered to it. So on the 5th session that we had, I was quite nervous. I said, Dicken, with all these emails that we have, he said, yeah. I said, I kind of get a feeling that it could be a book. And he said, I've been thinking the same thing. And I was like, do you want to write a book with me? And he said, it would be my honor. I couldn't believe it. So that was a good example of one of the times that wisdom moved me into action, when my ego was screaming no at the top of its lungs, if it has such a thing, which it doesn't. So wisdom is something that has this knowing. I had the knowing and Dickon had the knowing, and I think it was a basis for us writing so beautifully together, was that we both had this sense of this is right. It's right for us to do it. And we never argued in the 2 years that we wrote the book, because there was this constant, if there was something that if Dickon had one opinion about something and I saw it differently, we knew that it was 2 egos, right? So then we would go, oh, well, tell me what you're seeing. And then, I would share, well, I'm seeing this, and Dickon would share his. And then we would keep on being curious and talking about it until it came up with one. And it always did. Every single time sometimes it would take, 10 minutes, sometimes it could be a couple of hours, but it would be at some point, it would be, oh, this feels right. And when we both had that at the same time, we would write. The whole book is written like that. Not that we always had 2 opinions, but it's written from one voice, one wisdom, one sense, our felt sense of this is true. This is how we know truth. And we've heard from so many people over the years since it came out that they feel the book. It touches the knowing inside of them, which is exactly what we were hoping. So
that's beautiful. And I have to wave the book to the screen. It is a very beautiful book, and thank you. I mean, that was what you've just shared, Natasha. I've heard it's been spoken to many times, but I heard something different than what you've just said. I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about the one wisdom. That's lovely.
I just had a kind of quick question in a way. When you start to share what your understanding of wisdom in the way that you just so described that so beautifully, do you find that people recognize they know that what you're saying because they've had that experience, but they hadn't known to discern it as a different experience? Because that's what happened for me. It was like a ricochet through the years of, oh, it was then it was then, and it's almost like your own guide comes forth.
Exactly.
So you can go forward with more surety as opposed to an intellectual grasp.
Yes.
Because you've already experienced wisdom in action.
And I can ask anybody, and then they will do exactly what you just said, Sue. Oh, so that's right, there was a knowing. Oh yeah, and then back in time when I did that was a knowing. Yeah. And then, I made that stupid question, the decision, that was probably ego.
Yes.
Because we make plenty of those, me too. But I'm speaking to something that's universal. I think that's the beauty of the 3 principles, and why it touches, thousands of people all over the world, in all ages, all religions, all political parties, because there's a knowing within each of us that knows truth. We know truth. And when we hear it from somebody else, it just resonates inside of us, and we go, oh, that feels so right. So I think that's why it has such a reach, because and we're not trying to convince anybody on anything. We just go, have you had that? Yeah. Oh yeah, I have had that. Business people know, 5-year-old know. It's just a question of pointing towards what's already there. So
it's the connection piece, isn't it? It's immediate connection, regardless of who it is. As you say, it goes across the age, across the background, across everything.
Knowing is the most intimate part of ourselves. We all have it. We all know when we know.
Wonderful. Wow, thank you so much, Natasha. I really appreciate you taking the time, and look forward to seeing you in Spain in first weekend of November.
Yay.
Yes, not long now.
Yeah.
Okay. That's lovely. Thank you so much.
Thanks everybody for being with us.
Yes, thank you.